Hey guys, what's good? Welcome to Order of Opinion. I'm your host Tim. This is my co-host Anthony.
What's good, guys?
For those of you returning or just tuning in, we are going over our ranking of the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe from the shittiest to the greatest. Order of Opinion. So number 10 would be Ant-Man with a score of 6.5.
Okay.
Now,
you know my problems with Ant-Man. This is going to be more of a hating talk for me than necessarily you. But it was number 11 for me, and I gave it a 6. And I was tempted to give it like a 5.
really?
Yeah, I feel... Here's how I feel about it. First problem I had was the Carlos Pena, or not Carlos Pena, good baseball player, Pena.
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena. There we go.
Carlos.
He's funny, but he's cartoonish. And if you're going by a comic book theme, fine, that's cool. But the first scene that bothered me, and you could argue that the Scott Lang origin, everything about Scott Lang, is a 9.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a touch on a real American culture theme, and that is a guy is smart, he gets pissed off. He feels like people are been done wrong or he's done wrong, and he commits a crime, right?
Yeah.
A nonviolent crime. And even with his credentials as an American citizen, once you go to jail, there's not much any opportunity coming out of jail.
Yeah, he can't get a job at Baskin-Robbins.
And they show that struggle in a funny way, which is why I feel like the movie is very mediocre, because I feel like there was no real cohesiveness with Scott Lang Ant-Man. It felt like Michael Douglas was supposed to be the main character, and Scott Lang as more a supporting character.
Yeah, I could see that, but
and
they didn't focus on Michael Douglas enough.
Yeah,
Hank
but
Pym.
this whole middle part of the movie is all about Michael Douglas. So
Hank Pym does
and then
have his points, and so I think I know what you're getting at too. They spent a lot of time in that house, didn't they?
Lot of fucking time in that house.
Yeah.
And the problem I had with them switching over from Scott Lang is like right where this movie starts losing it to me is when he gets the suit. And the suit looks great, by the way.
But how? So I would say that I am 100% in agreement with that. Scott Lang is probably his introduction and his meaning and his character. Like he's already a superhero essentially. Like he's just
he's fucking hella smart.
Yeah, hella smart. You can tell it's for the greater good. He almost does a little bit of like, I think like Scott Lang could be like a better version of Stark essentially, because it's not so much that he's an asshole. He's just sort of complacent. Like he just doesn't care, and I think that's even better than like this Iron Man asshole going crazy thing, because it is this really smart crime fighter who just sort of doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's true.
And
I would agree with that.
It's so funny. Like, so think about it. He actually tried, like, when he finds out what the suit does, and I know the whole, like, shrinking scene at first is a little corny, and they don't really explain, like, how his weight works or strength or anything. They, like, hint at it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Okay, so he can crack tile when he falls off of a bathtub, but he struggles picking up a piece of wood. Like a little block.
Yeah, the in-train fight scene. Yeah, and so there's that. There's also, like, when he's shrinking down, how, like, those people are kicking him, and even though when, like, later on they show the military footage of Ant-Man, but that actually might be early. I think that's at the beginning.
That was actually kind of like that scene. It was kind of cool.
They show, so they've already established that this little dude can, like, do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And so... And even on, they later explain, it's like, dude, if you hit someone too hard, you can kill them. If you don't hit them hard.
They specified that you have the force of 200 pounds.
Yeah, so that
or
has
something
the
like that.
density or the force of a 200-pound man or something. So basically,
And she basically said, "Don't be a bitch, hit like a man, and it'll hurt."
which one of our very special friends thinks that Thor is the best. Or the most scientifically explained movie, and I would
gosh.
have to argue that I would think, in fact, Ant-Man might be the most scientifically explained movie because they do explain how the particle works, and they do explain how the ants are controlled, and they do explain like how the suits work, and all of that's explained, and I do give it points for that because a lot of the other movies do that with their technology. So they talk about how the serum, or what they call it, the Pym serum or something like that, Pym juice.
It was called something, yeah. Pym particle.
Oh, the Pym particle. It shows how it shrinks your atoms closer together, so you still retain your shape, but you're dense.
Yeah.
Like, and so that all makes sense, but like I said,
And how much of the damn movie, when it should be a character-based movie, I mean, that's how it was sort of set up, was about explaining shit. I mean, how much goddamn exposition, like the whole scene with him talking to Michael Douglas did not grip me at all. And then on top of that, it was just exposition that, like, maybe some of the stuff you're saying, if we saw it, would mean something to me.
Exactly.
But,
so, like, this is why I can't use the suit. This is how
yeah,
I know you.
I can't use the suit because it took a toll on me.
So that is damn near the one thing they don't scientifically explain.
Well, they said the chemicals mess up your brain.
That, and it's got.
But it took a toll on you. The goddamn world's about to end.
Maybe?
Your family's you're about to die. They're threatening to kill your family, and you need to get Scott Lang to help you when you're a master of the Ant-Man suit. And if you can explain to me, what at the end of the movie did they need Scott Lang's expertise for? And the chick is right to begin with. They didn't really need Ant-Man there.
Well, they don't need Ant-Man there after they're dumb enough to leave their plans out for, what was his name? Cross.
Yeah.
/ Yellow Jacket. Darren Cross.
Darren.
They after
he was an asshole too.
Oh, he was a complete asshole. But after he finds their plans, they sort of don't need Ant-Man. But prior to that, they do because he is an expert at heists.
Well, remember also, he's expendable.
Well, he's expendable.
Hank Pym doesn't want to die. He doesn't want his daughter to die, and they have reason, or they have leverage on Scott Lang because he's a criminal. And at first, so you're telling me at first, what was the point of letting him steal the suit if the cops didn't get him when he went back, which was also very convenient. He went back because he was freaked out. So he's going to run back, a guy with electrical engineering master's degree, is going to run back to the house that he stole something from to return it. Gets the cops called on him, and funny scene, like, okay, I guess, but it was like, all right, whatever. If you really look at the way of the situation, he shouldn't be acting like that. You're about to never see your daughter again.
Yeah.
Get down on the ground! You are under arrest!
No, I didn't steal anything. I was returning something I stole.
And at another point I make is that Michael Douglas set all that up through a series of conversations through different Mexican people and pays some chick off that they don't explain if he ever talked to the chick to tell her that. So that you just imply that he gave this girl money and they went through the grapevine and that's how Scott Lang heard it. That's a big goddamn coincidence.
Yeah, so there's that. But they do say that he has been tracking him since he initially committed his crime.
I get it, but what I'm saying is, what was the plan if he didn't go back and get arrested? What was the plan? You were just going to give him the suit? What the hell was the plan?
I think that's a good question, but Hank Pym is a genius, so I'm sure he would have figured it out. Regardless, I see how it is convenient. I think what maybe was a bit more convenient, or maybe not convenient, but just sort of like dumb to me.
Okay.
Was that they pretty much said, "Oh yeah, well, it sort of seems like Cross knows we're gonna come now," and then they go do the same thing anyway. Because it says, "Oh well, we found out they've installed these when he's walking away, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna have these screens installed on the tube that Ant-Man's supposed to come down," but he's like says that. And
Yeah.
so then they just go through with it
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
So, I mean, that was really dumb to me.
yeah. Yeah.
And so
He was dumb and generic.
Cross? Oh, it was an Iron Man enemy.
It was an okay story, but him himself in the moment, and they didn't give you any, like with Obadiah at least, you had suspense, right? There was no suspense with Cross, because right out the gate, he kills somebody the first time you see him, like
It's true.
stupidly, like, and then on top of that, at the end when all the shit's going down. I know the chemicals are messing up his brain, but like I said with Hulk,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Who is just all of a sudden going to be like his army? Like, who the hell is just all of a sudden like going to shoot people for him? And then he's now, I'm Yellow Jacket, I give up. Fuck this company, because you already did say fuck it when you're trying to kill Hank Pym.
Yeah.
And then when the business explodes or the thing explodes, when obviously, like, you're insured, so I don't get, like, the big deal of all your shit getting destroyed other than you lost all your research or whatever.
Which is probably backed up or
Yeah,
whatever.
and which is backed up. And then all of a sudden you just go psycho and you're just going to, like, suicide mission. I'm being Yellow Jacket no matter what.
Yeah, and that sort of was like the 0 to 100 on him. And also, like, I felt like Cross could have actually been a cool character because they do explain that he has this backstory with Hank Pym. That he is his, like, prodigy student that just asked a few too many questions.
And he was pissed because Cross was getting onto him, right? On his technology.
Exactly. But Cross, it's being shown that he's making these faulty products, and I think that's, again, sort of like what we were saying in Hulk. Like, these people are going crazy because they keep trying to recreate this product, and they just keep fucking it up. And they keep, like, so Cross, yeah, you can see the crazy thing, and I get that. But, for what it is, for what the movie is, it wasn't that bad. Like, I think there were a lot of scenes that played out good for it.
So then explain this one to me, which I'm reading in my notes right now. Okay, let's explain Hank Pym and his daughter's conflict. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, obviously, they're grieving their mom's death, which was also a good theme in the movie because it was Scott Lang trying to reach his daughter, Hank Pym trying to reach his daughter. They're both Ant-Man, blah, blah, blah. That was great. But she said, and I quote, I mean, not word for word, but this is exactly what she said in the car with Scott Lang while they were discussing if he should be Ant-Man or whatnot. Her and her dad just got in a big fight. She goes, yeah, after my mom died, he left for 2 months and then sent me to boarding school.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the next goddamn scene, they get into an argument. And, like, she doesn't really mention that, but then she's like, so you sort of implied that that's why he did this, was because he didn't want to tell her about her mom, and he wanted to disappear from her life because he was protecting her.
So I guess you would have to argue that he himself is going crazy.
And that's exactly what I was just about to say. Because, in actuality, Michael Douglas is the crazy one here. He is as close to Tony Stark. And I think it was kind of funny how he hates on the Stark technology with the Iron Man suit.
I like what he says, too. He's like, that is just like, that is just a toy. This is like real science.
Yeah, exactly. And he talks about how he basically has lost everyone because of this technology, and he's taken it to the damn grave.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like an old man with his with his ways stuck in his ways that he's gonna die this way. And I just thought that was whatever. And I sort of feel like even the action, like, it was cool for a while, then it just started feeling very gimmicky, and the ants it just looked stupid. Like, when I watched it in theaters, especially, like the whole last scene where he goes into the computer room or whatever and destroys all electricity, the only thing that I was interested in was Pena and T.I. and the dude from Dark Knight.
Great.
They were
Best
great.
trio they've had in Marvel so far. And you know what I really liked about Pena was when he's showing how he gets the information. It's so weird because they're all from jail and they're all like thugs, right? But this fool's like out eating cheese and drinking wine and like looking at art and shit while he's getting like tips on crime. Like, he's just doing like what you would consider like, like a wealthier citizen's activity, but in reality he's just like sort of a scumbag.
Yeah.
So that I thought was really cool, like this duality of the character. And I remember reading that they had said
I heard that they switched up writers, too.
that's possible.
And you could tell. The first 30 minutes is very charming, very funny. And then it just sort of pans off.
It was
And
like dark and like
I thought the script was mediocre.
Well,
I thought it was exposition and jokes, you know. And Avon Barksdale had one good
Avon
line.
Barksdale.
That's a messed up looking dog.
and you know, I thought one of the cooler things was the goddamn ant becoming big.
Yeah,
I thought
they
that
have
was
a little
like kind of
pet
cool.
ant. I like that they didn't. Here's what I really liked about it is that they have this like set boundary, which I think is, you know, cool and definitely saying something towards like where we're at now is just like a society with movies in general, is that he doesn't win his lady back. Like, he is not trying to. He just wants to see his kid.
Yeah, that's cool. But even his kid's an afterthought. You're just like, oh, she's the daughter and a girl, so cool.
Until the end, when she like gets kidnapped essentially in her own room.
Yeah, yeah. But you don't really see how much he struggles with his daughter. Like, it's just one scene of them at the party, and he gives her this shitty, ugly rabbit, and then he's writing on a piece of cardboard. It almost looks like his bills and what he has to get for an apartment, because his girl's like, you got to get a job, get an apartment.
Yeah, so basically he has to pay back
Very
his
cliche, by the
child
way.
support, get an apartment,
Yeah.
do all that stuff before he can see his kid.
Yeah,
But
which is sort of realistic.
yeah, and for, you know, it's not, well, it drives the plot, so it doesn't
Yeah.
feel convenient because
But
it
that's
is
still Scott
actually-
Lang.
Yeah, exactly. It's so Scott Lang was great.
But didn't you sort of feel also that Rudd was, like, underused? I mean, maybe not, but I feel like he is a lot more charming and funny than he came across in this movie that, to me, should have been, like, as funny as Guardians.
Yeah,
Like,
and
that's where they should have went.
And so that's sort of why I had to give it the score I did, is because I don't think it's really super solid.
Yeah.
It's not, there's definitely some
It's a college D.
inconsistencies.
It's a college D.
Yeah, so it's passing,
Yeah.
and I think if you showed this to anyone,
You don't have to go to summer school for it. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
I think if you showed this to anyone, this is like a movie you can watch, you know, if you're going on a date or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
or if
yeah.
you just don't want to think,
Yeah.
and it'll be entertaining enough.
Yeah.
So I can't give it much less than that because I don't think that there's going to be many people that would watch this and be like mad at watching it, unless they're really into Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Which, if you're that into Ant-Man, you go fuck
And they
yourself.
did connect Hydra with, you know, he was going to sell the suit to Hydra.
Yeah.
And
So overall, you know,
I-
I think 6.5 is fair.
yeah, I gave it a 6. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of it. And one more thing I wanted to say is the one character that Michael Douglas punches
Yeah.
and then comes back at the end, like, who gives a flying shit?
I think it spoke more on the fact that
He wasn't Hydra,
Michael
or at least I
Douglas was going like crazy.
No. I'm talking about when he shows back up at the end. Who
Oh
cares?
yeah, I think it's more.
He's
of-
like, oh, he sells it. He want to sell it for a weapon, and then like he shows up, and you're supposed to be like, oh no, but it's like, who cares?
Yeah, and I think that that's definitely something they didn't touch on is who he's connected with because they do have Hydra agents there. So I think maybe it's just to be more of like rubbing into Hank Pym's face.
Maybe, yeah. Well, because Cross was an asshole,
Yeah, so I think they both just were like, yeah, fuck you, Hank Pym.
and I just sort of feel like they tried to touch on emotions that they never really explained, and I think that. And why it's worse to me than Thor is because of that reason alone. Is every problem or conflict, other than Scott Lang's, was not very well detailed or thorough to the point where I would care.
Oh,
And it wasn't funny enough to make up for the lack of that shit,
Oh.
which I thought it would be.
and it's weird too because this is coming off the heels of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is, you know, I think this was meant to be the comedy movie, and I think they missed
Yeah.
the mark on it.
They missed the mark.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So right now, let's get this straight.
Yeah, so we're 4 deep.
So we
We both have Hulk.
We're going off yours. We got 13 Hulk. We both got 12 Thor 2. I got 11 at Ant-Man.
My 11 is Thor.
His 11 is Thor. And
My 10 is Ant-Man.
Your 10 is Ant-Man. Okay.
Where's Ant-Man on yours?
It is number 11.
11.
So
So we it's our opinion.